Hey, this is Angel. In this video, I'll be discussing how to reset your boundaries after narcissistic abuse. Welcome to or welcome back to Narc-Repellant. This channel is devoted to those seeking understanding, strategies, and support as they are recovering from narcissistic or toxic relationship abuse and trauma. If you're interested in gaining further perspective on these subjects, stay tuned. Our topic-related quote for the day comes from Oprah Winfrey. In order to thrive and be successful, you have to be able to set boundaries. Okay, my new family of friends, let's dive into today's topic, boundaries. What are they, and how do we work to reset them after an abusive relationship? In this video, I intend to break down what boundaries are, why it's so important to establish boundaries, my steps for resetting boundaries, learning how to communicate these new boundaries, as well as providing consequences for violators. I'd now like to take a moment to invite you to subscribe to my channel. Please share, like, and comment, as you know YouTubers need that in order to survive. I'd like to acknowledge those who've been loyally watching my videos, as well as the many new subscribers. Please feel free to add comments today about your experience in trying to set boundaries. Your submitted comments will go through me first, as I want to watch for predators and sales comments. Okay, now on with our topic. First, what are boundaries? Psychology Today gives us our definition. Boundaries can be defined as the limits we set with other people, which indicate what we find acceptable and unacceptable in their behavior toward us. That seems simple enough. I don't know about you, but I was shocked after getting out of that dysfunctional, toxic relationship with the narc to find out that whatever boundaries I had leisurely set previously had been stomped to death. That was the problem. I didn't have strong boundaries set for myself in relationships with others. Really? Here I am, over 60, and I'd been going smoothly through my life, not wanting to cramp anybody else's style over my need to set boundaries. My mother never taught me is the excuse I'd like to use, but really, my friends, no one in my home was allowed to have any boundaries. How would I have known what healthy boundaries were? Sure, I set rules for my children as I knew they were necessary while they were growing up, but as far as rules I needed for how others treated me, no, I guess I wasn't good at that one. Although it may be obvious to some of you, I had to do some digging about why it's important to set boundaries. Here's what I came up with from a compilation of my research. The bottom line is that when we do not set boundaries for the behavior of others toward us, we allow them to roam freely through our life, taking and doing whatever they want. The sound of that just is not okay with me. If we have not set boundaries, it's as if we're allowing others to mistreat us. We must subconsciously know we're broken and not worth the effort. Setting boundaries is evidence of you respecting your needs over the comfort of others. This is difficult when you've been raised in a dysfunctional home where no one has allowed boundaries. Setting boundaries is the best way to love yourself and the best way to show you love the people in your life. Now that sounds good. When you live your own truth, your boundaries for others are also the boundaries set for your own moral compass. That makes logical sense, doesn't it? There should be no negotiation with your boundaries. Again, all of this makes sense after the fact, right? You will find that toxic, dysfunctional, narcissistic people will have no respect for your boundaries. Okay, that being said, I'd now like to discuss the steps for resetting your boundaries. Maybe you want to have a tablet ready to take notes. Okay, number one, it all begins with values. First of all, you will need to be very clear in determining your own personal values. What makes you feel like your authentic self, where you're safe, healthy, and happy, right, and true. Your values are your own personal commitment to yourself about how you will lead your life. Your values are what guide your beliefs about how you will expect to be treated by others and how you will treat them. To me, values are about character. Character is of major importance in how you proceed through life. You'll need to list those character traits that you value most in yourself and what you will value in others, as this will guide your boundary setting. Some examples of values important to me are things like authenticity and honesty, respect and faith, gentleness and kindness, compassion and understanding. This list will drive your boundary setting. As these values are important to you, you will want your reset list of boundaries to resemble this list of important character traits. Next, you will need to determine your emotional boundaries, those boundaries that keep you feeling separate from another. These areas will need to be taken into account with your new boundary setting. This is the area where you will need to be very clear about the lines that separate your thoughts, values, feelings, and opinions from others. Each person must take responsibility for their own actions. When you've grown up in a dysfunctional home, you will not have learned how to set appropriate emotional boundaries. Thirdly, you will need to determine physical boundaries. Those boundaries involve your person. Your personal space and privacy need to be respected, and you will have to create boundaries you're comfortable with in each of the following areas as well. Touch. You determine how, where, when, and with whom you allow touch. Sexual. Again, you determine how, where, when, and with whom you allow acceptable behavior in this area. Your time. You will determine again how, where, when, and with whom you spend your time. Fourth, you will need to determine your spiritual boundaries. This would be your comfort level and how people respond to you in relation to your personal beliefs in connection to God, the universe, higher power, or whatever you have faith in. Once you have done the hard work of determining and listing your values, your emotional, physical, and spiritual boundaries, you're on your way. You can handle the personal side of connecting each of the parts in order to document your new boundaries in any way that works for you. Perhaps you want to handwrite them out and post them on your bathroom mirror. Maybe you're a more creative person and you'd prefer to use images to help you remember your new reset boundaries. This part is up to you, but your new set of boundaries needs to be celebrated and taken in as your psyche to be part of you now as you move forward in your life. I would love for you to help us out by commenting below, providing a short list of the boundaries you found to be the most helpful for you, or perhaps you're having trouble with words to create a boundary. Share that in the comments below too. I'm sure you'll get lots of help. Now that you know how to create your set of new boundaries, how do you effectively communicate them to a new partner or anyone else? Well, the easy answer is learning how to say no to people. Know that you have the right to determine how you are treated by anyone. How you are treated should be aligned to your values. You will need to be direct and clear about your boundaries very early in a relationship. You'll have to trust your decisions. After all, you created these boundaries with a lot of knowledge and consideration. Now, what about the consequences for breaking boundaries? What would that look like? Well, the first time someone breaks or pushes a boundary, call them out. You can request a change in their behavior. You can also request that they leave your presence or you walk away for the moment. Ultimately, breaking your boundaries could create the reason you leave a relationship. The bottom line here is that no one has the right to break your boundaries, and you have the right to walk away from anyone who disrespects you. I wish for you all to have the patience, the strength, and love as you reset your boundaries. So what are the lessons here? You know, as a teacher, I'm always thinking about what lessons I've learned. Well, personal boundaries should be built-in self-protection against others infringing upon your rights. Not learning to set them, not having anyone who modeled boundary setting for you in childhood has led most of us into codependency. We end up being with people who do not respect our boundaries. Instead, we're more concerned about others' needs, not wanting to upset anyone with a silly rule we need to set about how their behavior affects us. Boundaries need to be set in all arenas of our life. We do this by respecting, valuing, honoring, and loving ourselves enough. Be patient and kind to yourself as you are learning how to reset your boundaries. Know that it took time for someone to manipulate you to the point that you doubted your own intuition and ability to manage your emotions and hold on to your boundaries. It will take time and devotion to not only undo what's been done, but to emerge a stronger, more healthy, self-respected individual. If you are currently suffering from a dysfunctional relationship, please know there are many avenues of support. You're definitely not alone in your struggle for understanding and for wanting to build more respect for yourself and your boundaries. Don't stay isolated during this time. It takes time to heal from the wounds inflicted by a disrespectful, toxic person. Give yourself lots of time. Take time today to respect, value, honor, and love yourself. You deserve that. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Have a graceful day.